Finding affordable and beautiful Pokemon cards that you actually want to collect has become increasingly difficult in the last 2 years, if not impossible, to find cards that are affordable for some of us. Like, unless you want to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for these brand new hyper modern chase cards, which I don't want to do that, and many of you don't either. So what do we do? On the one hand, we can complain all day long about how we can't get Pokemon cards, or we can think outside the box a little bit at some cards that maybe not everyone is aware of. I know I wasn't aware of these cards until just a few months ago. So this is a follow-up to the video I originally did a few months back where I purchased a bunch of these cards, like I said, that I'd never seen before. They're all Pokemon that I recognize. They're all in the top 10 or top 20 most popular Pokemon, but they were just cards that I had never seen before. I started collecting and investing in Pokemon back in 2014 or so, around the time Pokemon Go came out, a little before. But at the time, I was just interested in buying vintage WotC cards, like just buying a base set, Neo, Rocket. Like, I did not care at all about modern. It wasn't until like 2019 that I first started looking and thinking about modern cards. So these cards, if I didn't give it away already, are from the 2015, 16, some a little bit older than that era. So that would be the XY block. So I made that original video just saying, hey, I'm looking at buying these cards. I think I had actually just purchased them, but many of them were still in the mail. I just said, hey, look, these are some cards that I think are beautiful. They're popular Pokemon. They're already, some of them are 10 to 14 years old, which is not vintage age, but it's pretty old. It's not like Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet, which are only a few years old. So these cards already have some age to them, which is good for value and scarcity, rarity. As we'll see here in a few minutes, there are not that many listings left. And when I was originally purchasing these, there was only 1 or 2 listings left. Of course, when you do a buyout or just purchasing a bunch of cards because you like them, which is what I was doing, then the price is naturally going to go up until people start listing more cards. But if there isn't enough supply to really flood the market with supply for that card, then the prices are going to stay stagnant, which, as you'll see here in a minute, is what happened with these cards. They're old enough, 10 to 15 years old, that there just isn't that much supply out there. So let me just show you some of the cards that I was buying. Like this Alakazam EX from Fates Collide in the XY block. It's a full art, it's Alakazam, which I think is definitely a popular Pokemon, but he definitely doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. Like, Alakazam is better than Gengar. I'm sorry, I like Gengar. It's not like I dislike Gengar, but Alakazam, even Haunter, better Pokemon than Gengar, sorry. Another one, obviously one of the hit Pokemon from some of the original movies, Lugia EX, again, another full art. Now, of course, these aren't the alternate art versions of these cards or even the most expensive from these sets. These cards were only a few dollars. I'll tell you roughly how much I paid per card on average as we go through some of them here. So as you guys will see, all the cards that I purchased a few months ago in this time frame are all like this. They're all EXs, you know, XY era full art cards. They're not the top chase, top hit card, not alternate arts, but they are popular Pokemon and they're really cool, really beautiful. And I actually found that just ordering a bunch of them near mint from TCG Player, a decent number of them were very minty, to the point where I sent off, I think it was 124, 123 cards to PSA right before they shut down, which means I'll get it back in 2030. And stay till the end, because at the end, I'm going to show you one of the cards that I picked up for super cheap that was announced in the 30th anniversary and just spiked since then. And real quick, guys, before we continue on with this video, if you're seeing this, then my YouTube analytics say that you are not subscribed. So if you're not, please give me a subscribe. If you appreciate what I'm doing, it really helps. And I'd also like to just say thank you to the sponsor for today's video, which is Guppy. Guppy is a brand new program that just came out recently. They're constantly making new updates for it, but it is essentially a cheap automatic checkout service designed for collectors. There's no proxy servers, fake credit card accounts, or any of that stuff. It's just meant to help you as collectors get a few boxes at MSRP. So if you like getting Pokemon cards at MSRP, go check out Guppy. It's only $12.99 a month. Guppy is a must have if you like getting Pokemon cards at MSRP. I'll leave a link down in the description for you guys to check it out, so go check that out. Back to the video. So as you can see here on TCG Player, of course, we're gonna have near mint selected for all these cards. So this is the Alakazam from Fates Collide that I was telling you about. I just love this card. I love how he's like popping into, the text boxes and kind of looking like he's coming out of the card. I just think it's really cool. Here at the top, it says $18, but if you don't know, if you just look at one metric on TCG Player, oftentimes it's not exactly accurate. See down here, it says market price 13. Up here, the lowest list or most recent, whatever, is $18. All right, so let's just take a look at the graph here. So I purchased most of these back in March. Honestly, I don't remember exactly, but this card, yeah, I averaged about $550, $560 for this card. This purchase spike was probably me. Maybe that one, but it was, like I said, it was about $5, $6 per card at the time. And now if we scroll down and look, I mean, if you want to get one from a reputable seller, $14, $14, $14.70, $15, it's about $14 or $15. And as you can see here on the graph, it's gained 207% over the last year. 6 months, it's 158. And yeah. Because again, when I was buying these, I didn't buy that many. It wasn't like I was buying tens of thousands of dollars of these cards. Even all those 17 was probably not on me. I probably, over the course of like a month, it was probably started around the beginning of March, and I did it through May. So it was a few months for different cards. But I probably ended up with like maybe 20, 30 for most of these cards. So these are some of the things that you will want to look for. Of course, we're going to search near mint. Don't bother with heavily played or even light played. Just go with near mint. And then some cards that have popular Pokemon, good art style like this. It's very unique. He's popping out of it. Relatively cheap. Like I said, all of these cards, for the most part, were only a few dollars, $5, $6. Some of them, and I'll let you know when, were a little bit more expensive, $10 or $15 at the time. But like this, $5 or $6. It's already got some age to it. Came out in 2016, so it's already 10 years old for Alakazam, full art, unique card. It's an EX, and it was $5. And then another very important point is the current quantity. So I haven't been buying these now for at least a few weeks or month or two, and so it says there's 46 available. When I first was looking at these, there was maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen for most of these cards. And again, like I said, if you just check one metric on TCG Player, oftentimes it's wrong. So this 46 is likely to be wrong. If we come up here, it says 25 near mint copies. We can just see, yeah, there's 3 pages. There's probably, 25 seems right, unless one person has a bunch of listings. But even still, okay, this one's listed at $4,000. That's not even really a card on the market. Nobody's going to buy that. Even all of this third page are $60 and over. $18 is not too far off. Basically anything under $20, I would consider being a card that's actually on the market available for sale. And again, there's only probably a dozen of those. So let's jump to the next card. Next would be probably my favorite card that I purchased. I just love the art style. Obviously, it's Lugia. Near mint again from Ancient Origins. So this card is 11 years old, even a little bit older. Let's come down to the graph here. So in the last 6 months, it's gone up. Again, it's very similar looking graph. I purchased around March. Probably one or a couple of these spikes I at least contributed to. And again, people want to complain, oh, you're doing buyouts. This card is 11 years old. It was probably 50 cents back in the day. And even just a few weeks ago, these cards were $5, $6. So what are you complaining about? You had 10 to 14 years for some of these cards to purchase them. You could have done it anytime. And even still, I think it's still not a bad price. These are, if you want a reputable seller, $16.50, almost $17. So, with taxes, fees, shipping, $17, $18. I think for Lugia, I purchased most of these. They were more than the Alakazam for sure, but they were probably $8 to $10. And of course, I purchased some higher listing ones too, so maybe they were $15. But if you average it out, I probably spent about $9 to $10 per card on these, and I got quite a few of them. And then, like I said, I did send up some off to grading. Of all of the EX full art cards that I got, it was about 120, 130. But as you can see, this is probably the majority of my Lugias that are near mint, but definitely not really grade worthy. Lugia was a little bit harder to grade. Some of them did really well. Like I'll show you here. Wow, sorry about my mic there. So the next one here was definitely harder to grade, and I only sent in a few of them. And that's Giratina EX. Again, more of a modern Pokemon. Actually, I don't know how modern Giratina is. This card was more expensive, again, because it's Giratina. And at the time, still, there's only a couple dozen, a little over 2 dozen left in near mint. And as you can see, there aren't that many sales. It's not that well known of a card. Currently sitting about, well, if you want a reputable seller, $25, $26. And I purchased some around the 20 mark and some around the 15 and even some around 25. So we could probably just say average of 20. So for a few weeks, I'm still probably break even after fees. But that's okay. I was just doing it because I really like the cards and I think they'll do well long term. And then once I started getting them, I purchased a handful, several dozen of each or whatever. And I started getting them in the mail, and probably a quarter of them were just straight up light played or worse. So I'd send them back, get a refund if I could. But the other 75%, probably about half and half. Half were seriously gradable potential, and the other half were just solidly near mint, but nowhere near mint, not worth grading. And I was really surprised by that. So I just ordered more. I was like, man, if I can get these cards for $5 to $10 and possibly hit a few tens, that would make it worth it. Let's jump down a little rabbit trail here real quick. One of the cards that I remember off the top of my head was the Lugia EX in PSA 10. And last I checked, probably 4 months ago, it was about $350. I checked maybe a month or two ago, maybe a few weeks ago, and it was like double that. It was about $700. So let's see. Yeah, so this is the really expensive card from Ancient Origins of Lugia, right? It's like the alternate art or whatever. Yeah, it's going for $5,000. That's great, but we're not worried about that. We're trying to get cheap cards that we just like and are really going to retain value. And if you grade them, might sell for even higher. So yeah, look here. Here's the Lugia that we're looking at. I don't have any 10s yet. I'll make a video whenever I get my grades back, which realistically will probably be November, December, or early 27. Yeah, $7.99 or best offer, $7.50. This one's $1,400. $1,500. That's what's listed, of course, right? It doesn't mean that people are actually buying at those prices. But this one, buy now, $650, July 9th, just a few days ago. Yeah, so $650, $600, whatever, for a card that cost me $9 to $10. That's an insane value added right there. And then, of course, all these other cards are similar. Some even more expensive, some maybe a little less. But Lugia is, of course, very popular. So this next card is one that I'm really excited about because I really like the Pokemon. And it spiked not just because I bought a bunch of copies, but because everybody else realized this card existed when the 30th anniversary released what cards would be included. And that is, of course, the Rayquaza EX, same era. So this is one that I was buying, some as cheap as like $10, but I think most were between the $10 to $20. So this one is Dragons Exalted. It came out in 2012, 14 years old. Rayquaza, which is definitely a top 20 Pokemon in America, I think even top 10, but it's like top 3 in Japan. So very popular Pokemon. Everybody likes it. It's a dragon type. He's just cool. And again, I just really like this card, and they just happened to be reprinting this exact version in the 30th anniversary set. So I kind of lucked out on that. But part of me doing this gamble was that I know these types of things happen. And so if you diversify, right? Alakazam didn't do the same thing. It's still double, tripled in price. Lugia still double, tripled in price, but aren't quite as expensive as Rayquaza. So let's look down here. I mean, this chart, fairly similar to the other ones, just with more momentum. So let's see, this is the 6 months chart I purchased. This wasn't me. I didn't buy 113 of them. But you know, maybe in this was probably the week, mid-March, that I bought these ones. So the current quantity on this one might be accurate, might be deceiving. There's almost 1,100, and that's worrying. But if you investigate a little further, there's one store. This is a massive store, the gaming company Direct. They're all listed at $40, and they have over 1,000 supposedly. And that actually reminds me, another thing when I was purchasing these, because I was buying from all kinds of sellers, I didn't care. I was like, oh, if you send me a light played, heavily played card, I'm just going to return it and get a refund. So I was just like, I'll just buy all of them at the lowest price. And it was amazing. Probably another quarter of my initially purchased listings, people would come back and just say, oh, I'm sorry, I actually don't have this card. When it comes to these older cards. And oftentimes with many of these cards, they would reprint them. So you would get multiple, you know, Rayquaza EXs in different sets, not just Dragons Exalted, and they looked exactly the same. The only difference was the number down at the bottom here. And so people often mistake that on TCG. I say that to say it's possible that, you know, up to a quarter of these listings, 25% are just actually non-existent. They don't actually have the card, or they have the card, but it's definitely not near mint. Someone input the condition wrong, whatever. So this guy, again, I purchased these about $15 to $20, and it's gone up 172%. And the lowest list is basically $40. And there's definitely a big wall here. We're not going to break past this wall, but I've been watching this listing, and this guy, or this company, the gaming company Direct, had them listed at $26. So they were the bottom listing. And I was like, we're never going to break past this wall, this price wall, because he had like 1,100 at the time. But he's since raised his prices. I'm pretty sure he raised it to like $60, back down to 40. He's got a bunch of them. He'll probably sell some at 40, bump the price back up again to 60. When all these get bought out, then it'll sell for 60. So he's just kind of adjusting prices to take profit, which is great. That's what I would do. So this card is $40. I got most of them for, like I said, 15 to 20, and sent off a bunch to get graded. All right, let me show you a few more that were not as interesting, or not some of my favorites. Actually, I like this one a lot. I take all of that back. Tyranitar EX, again from Ancient Origins. Maybe not top 10 Pokemon, but probably top 20, top 30. I like Tyranitar, he's cool. Another full art, he's like popping out of the card, near mint. So these ones actually did really well. So these branch of cards I purchased probably the next few weeks, next month after. So here's the 6-month chart. This was me purchasing them around this time frame. You know, I probably purchased the week after as well, but most of them were between $6 to $9. A lot were very cheap. This was another card that was priced similarly to the Alakazam. And then of course, as you see, it's gone up 216% since then. It says there's 78 available, probably less. Lowest listed from a reputable seller, $16. Again, if you want to buy these cards, guys, these cards are still a very good price. I still purchase these at these prices. Not as many, but I pretty much stopped buying them now because I spent a lot, I overspent, and then I didn't really overspend, but I spent as much as I wanted to, and I just couldn't justify buying any more without seeing how it goes value-wise. But I'm certainly going to keep some on my shelf because I really like these cards. This one was insane. I can't believe I forgot about this. This is Deoxys EX from Team Plasma. Again, I can't really read the age, but it was like 10 to 15 years old. This one, seriously not a lot of listings available. Again, very similar looking chart. I purchased them, yeah, right around $11, $12, and then just exploded. So it says $22, but in reality, if you want to buy one today from a reputable seller, it's going to be $50. And I will tell you, I listed one just to see a few weeks ago. And I listed it just to see because I had purchased all of them. There were only 1 or 2 Deoxys listings available that were both like $150. So I listed one at $59.99 or $96, and it sold. Now, of course, since then, the price came back down a little bit, but there's just not enough supply to replace a lot of these cards. But as you can see, we've gone into kind of a buying pause here because the price has just exploded and people are unsure if it's actually worth that. I think it is. I think Deoxys is cool. This was another very cheap one, Swampert EX. This was a promo card, very difficult to grade. I don't know if I sent in any of these or maybe just one. They were just all not good condition, not good enough for grading. But again, you know, right here, I purchased one a little later, about $5 or $6, and has since ballooned to, if you want a reputable seller, oh my goodness, $29. Let's see, again, this is just what's listed, right? So it doesn't mean people are actually buying it, but it does mean that if you want to buy it, you got to pay these prices. So let's go up here to view more data. Last sale on July 9th was $7.50, $10, $22. So yeah, $10-ish, 10 to 20. This is another one that has basically just stayed the same price. I purchased some around 15, some up to 20, and some at 25, and it's, as you can see here, from a reputable seller for just under 20. But I love this card, the Gyarados. Look at this card, and seeing it in person is amazing. This card, for whatever reason, did really well for condition. So I sent in probably 20 of these because they were just so minty fresh, so minty clean. But I really like this card. Just a beautiful card, beautiful background. I love Gyarados. The next one, less popular Pokemon, but has had some recent hype with the Victini promo from Black and White, I think it was, or it was the ETB insert, whatever. But this one, not a lot of listings. There's 19 now, and yeah, it's only about $8. But when I bought it for about $6, so not bad. Flygon. And this is one that I just really got into Landorus and Thundurus and Tornadus recently. I don't know why. I thought they were the stupidest, gayest Pokemon I'd ever seen. And then I went, actually, I kind of like Tornadus. But Landorus here, EX, again, 10 to 14 years old, and 5 available. And let's see, yeah, listed at $40. I got these for... yeah, it was about $15. And there weren't many available. There's only ever been maybe 3, 4, 7 available. And now they're 40. There's one listed at 40. Next one is 140. Just crazy. Now, obviously not a very popular Pokemon, not that many sales, but it's just that scarce. It's that rare. So if Landorus or Thundurus or Tornadus ever has their day, you know, you could see this card explode. And I just think it's cool. So no loss there. Well, that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe gave you some ideas for cards to buy so you don't have to just sit and chase Walmart and Target drops. I'm not doing that. I'll stop in if I'm going to Walmart or if I'm driving by, I might check. But for the most part, I just got sick of it. There's nothing ever there, and I don't really care. There's other cards and other things, other areas of the hobby that are really cool, really interesting that you guys can explore. And this is one way to do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, like and subscribe. Thanks. Peace.